It's Saturday night, so you know what you're watching, the Delco Duo on PHL 17. I'm one half of the Delco Duo, Monica Cryan.
And I'm Jenna Meisner. Thanks so much, as always, for spending a little bit of your weekend with us.
Best part of your weekend.
Best part before Memorial Day weekend. This is like the last quiet weekend before it all just goes crazy for the summertime.
I am so excited, but I do like this last week before all the craziness. Like, I just want to relax this weekend. I don't want to go anywhere. I don't really want to do anything. And I feel like the weather's been so crappy. I'm sorry. I know I usually
It's your fault.
I tried not to talk about weather during the Delco Duo, but it's been so crappy.
You have to talk about it because everyone is very annoyed by these terrible weekends and then beautiful starts to the week. It's been this pattern forever.
Yes, who wants a nice Monday when it could just be nice over the weekend? So I just feel like the weekends have not been that fun recently.
More the reason to stay inside and watch the Delco Duo.
Absolutely. So let's get to the debrief.
Okay, so you told me about this. I didn't hear about it, and I would consider myself pretty hip, pretty in the know.
Well, if you say
I'm younger
hip
than you,
and in the know.
I'm younger than Monica, so I feel like I'm more with
not
it. Not
necessarily in spirit. I am the more immature one, but no. So I was watching this, like a few things on TikTok, and I noticed like it's coming up on my For You, and it's East Coast versus West Coast. And it's the difference between the people on the West Coast and the East Coast. And I've always thought this way. A lot of what they were saying, I've always felt like I've noticed that about
Speaks to you.
Yes. Okay. So
here's examples.
Okay. East Coast is more formal. West Coast is more laid back.
That's like your stereotypical surfer dude.
Yes.
On the West Coast.
And just, in the job market, whatever. East Coast
like
is
Silicon Valley.
Yeah. Silicon. East Coast
Silicone.
East Coast, who knows?
Monica wants to move on. Keep going.
East Coast is more blunt. Yep.
Well, yeah.
West Coast is more passive aggressive. East Coast is faster pace, obviously, and West Coast is slower. East Coast, this is the one I really liked. East Coast is kind, not nice. And West Coast is nice, not kind.
That one's kind of like hurts my brain. I feel like
absolutely
you have to think about that
until you think of the example.
Okay, so give an example.
So the example is you're on the side of the roadway with a flat tire and you're having a hard time changing your flat tire. West Coast people will stop and say, "Oh, I'm so sorry about that. That stinks.
Keep going.
Drive on." East Coast people come up, don't even introduce themselves or say anything, fix your flat tire for you, drive away thinking that guy's an idiot who couldn't fix his flat tire. Mm-hmm. I love that. That resonates with me.
That does resonate. And obviously being on the East Coast, I agree with I agree with the way that, East Coast versus West Coast. I said this actually before. I've never been to California. So that side of the coast, I can only think of like stereotypes.
Right.
You have been.
I've been to California, and I think that's the thing is superficially going to California, everybody's nice, hello. They stop on the street or like say hello. That's in the South too. Mm-hmm. They'll say hi to you.
Oh, bless her heart.
Yeah, but then making friends and like becoming like close with these people, nope, impossible to do. Whereas I feel like
I could argue with the East Coast, that's kind of tough though too.
No, East Coast, I feel like, yes, maybe making friends, but like having friends and even family, like everybody's just, family and come together. And South and West and Central, I'm just like, how do you guys make connections with anyone? Like everybody's like on the surface nice, but just like genuine.
Yeah. Well, that goes back to East Coast being blunt and West Coast not being as forward.
Like, like we're genuine. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes you rub us the wrong way or, whatever, we're not going to like you. But just genuinely, we're good people.
Yes, in most cases, that is true.
That's how I feel.
I think East Coast and even Delco, we're on the Delco Duo right now. It resonates with Delco and the county as well. So, I wouldn't want to be anywhere but the East Coast.
Just the people. I like the people. I get along with the people.
But we were born and raised here. I would like an outsider's opinion of someone who's moved here and how they view it.
But I don't want your opinion.
But we don't want your opinion.
I don't.
All right, let's do what we do every Saturday night. You viewers submit your issues and we try to solve them for you, of course, remaining anonymous, so we're not blowing up anybody's spot. And the reason, Monica, I picked Donnie from Drexel Hill is because Baby Reindeer, which is going crazy viral on Netflix right now, the main character's name is Donnie.
Donnie, okay.
But that's a whole other tangent.
Let's talk about that after we read this. I told my wife she needs to visit the dentist and she got very offended. She developed horrible breath and is embarrassing in social situations.
This is tough.
All right, Donnie, you also need to take it relax a little. You're embarrassing in social situations.
I agree with Donnie.
No, I definitely think it needs to be handled. It needs to be handled.
Like he's at his tipping point. If he's coming to the Delco Duo, he is at his tipping point of he doesn't know what to do.
Yes, but just the way you're putting it, you don't seem to be coming from the best of ways. It's embarrassing in social situations. Hey, I get it. But let me tell you something, Donnie. This is much, much worse for you. What you're smelling, because it's your wife. You guys are kissing, I hope.
Probably not. But
you guys are kissing. You're smelling the worst of it. So to say it's embarrassing in social situations, relax. Do not go to your wife and tell her she's embarrassing in social situations. All that's going to do is she's already vulnerable and you're making her feel even worse. Go at this nicely.
I'm trying to think of the best way to go about this. I think that is a big thing of mine. If I'm talking to people or I'm at a social event, I always I want to know.
Yes.
I want to know.
Absolutely.
I don't want people to tiptoe around. I need to know because it is embarrassing.
Well, there have been a few times where me and my husband will have to tell each other something.
You need a mint.
Yeah, you need a mint or you have something
after
in your
coffee,
tea.
or
you know what I mean?
That.
And immediately I get on
you don't want to talk to anybody.
Yes, I'm just you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm so embarrassed. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the problem is especially with partners, husbands and husbands, wives and wives. The second they put you on alert, they get put on defense. And so now they're on high alert. They're feeling upset, embarrassed. So you just have to go at this as gently as possible.
So how do you do that?
I think you should say, probably because it's coming from somewhere. I think something's up. I think you might have a cavity. That's probably bad breath for the most part doesn't just come from something you ate.
Develop.
If you're talking this terrible, horrible situation, it's because something's wrong with their gums, something's wrong with their teeth.
It's a deeper issue.
It's a deeper issue. I think that's how it's not necessarily I'm worried, I'm concerned. I think you might have gum disease. Or you might
gingivitis.
Yes.
Is that what it is?
Halitosis.
I know that my husband is a 30-year-old man. He's a full-grown adult. But when I make my dentist appointment, I just make his right after mine. Mm-hmm. So I'm calling for me, and my husband's will take the next appointment. Yeah. Just do that. Just make it a dentist appointment, and then say my wife's gonna come right after me.
That would be so nice.
And then to say, hey, I'm going. And I made you one.
And then you should be able to have that conversation with your wife. Hey, I think something might be up. I made dentist appointments for us.
I just social situations. It's not a good situation when you feel that way.
When I feel like we have to tackle something, it's always good to tackle it as a team. So instead of isolating her and making her feel like it's just her.
Before you get out of the car at an event, you put a piece of gum in and you say, hey, do you want one?
You guys are a team. Go at it as a team.
One has bad breath. You both have bad breath.
Yeah. Oh, we need to see the dentist.
All right, coming up next, we got another issue of the night, and this one has to do with prom. So we're still in prom season.
Yes,
so
we are.
Talk about that coming up.
And welcome back. Okay, Jenna had briefly talked about Baby Reindeer. Yes. Tell us what that is.
Oh, well, if you don't know what it is, it's on Netflix right now. It's a 7-episode series, 30 minutes apiece, so you can crush this thing. I mean, you can binge it real easily. Yeah. It went really viral. I think when I watched it, it was number 3. You know how Netflix has their top 10 of things that are streaming?
Yes.
It was number 3. I don't know if it's moved up or down since that point. Basically, it's about this failing comedian out in London, develops a stalker who is a woman, and she refers to him, nicknamed him Baby Reindeer because she thinks he looks like a baby reindeer.
He's cute.
I mean, to her, he's her world because she's a stalker, and that's the premise of it. But it is just a very uncomfortable. Ugh. It's like a dark comedy drama. It goes into different it's should have a trigger warning, obviously. Yes. But we watched it, and I know lots of people are watching it right now, so that's why I picked on it.
Yeah, I mean, all my girlfriends were texting like, oh, are you watching Baby Reindeer? I don't have Netflix, so I wasn't. But it's funny that you say dark comedies are like my least favorite kind of TV.
They're just uncomfortable. You don't know if to laugh. You don't know.
You just want to be happy. You're like, ha, ha.
I didn't know what I was watching going into it. I thought that it was going to be like a documentary, like a hour and a half documentary. So I typically don't like episodes.
You do love documentaries, yeah. This is not a doc.
So we started it, and right off the bat, you know it's going to be a weird show within the first 30 seconds. And my husband's like, what are we watching?
What?
And you started it, so you have to finish it. But it's going to make you feel uncomfortable.
Okay.
And I think that was the purpose. The guy who wrote it is actually the guy who stars in it. So
yes.
He wrote it and stars in it, which is a fun fact.
Definitely from his perspective, because now the real woman is coming on.
She's like, no. She's
That's not how it went.
She's threatening to sue Netflix about the way they portrayed her. So if you are looking for something weird to watch, go ahead.
Baby Reindeer.
Baby Reindeer.
All right, let's get other than the Delco Duo. We are just a
watch
comedy.
it after this or before. Don't turn this off to put it on.
We have no darkness. There is no, so we're just
depending on the day.
I don't know. I think we keep it light most. Actually, here's a really dark topic. Okay, my daughter was. This is Tina from Thornberry. Yeah, I'm sad. My daughter was ghosted by her prom date. He asked her to be his date a while back, but as the event got closer, he's been avoiding her. When she messaged him to ask if they were still going, he ignored the message. She is crushed. Should I get involved?
Okay, so for our older viewers, explain what ghosted means.
Right. So it can be in many terms just a complete disappearance. Yeah, you just disappear or you ignore this person. In prom world,
no communication, nothing.
Yeah, because you have to ask this, or you have to communicate. If you're not boyfriend girlfriend, you're still communicating. Like,
where's
hey,
the pre-party? Where's the pictures? What color?
What color are you wearing?
What color are you wearing?
And so now that she's been ghosted, my guess is she needs to be prepared to move on and go to prom. One, by herself. Two, she should be finding another date. Well, that's what I would be doing. I'm finding another date. And if all of a sudden this guy shows up, he's like, why'd you find another date? You can't ignore me. You're going to ignore me. Now you don't have a date to prom. So she should be finding another date.
It's interesting, though, because it could be a situation where they go to school together, where it's both of their proms. It could be just his prom. They don't go to the same school, or it could be her prom. So we don't know whose prom it is, because if it's his prom,
you're talking like boy, girl schools, and a prep guy invites you, and
but if it's
something like a prep guy would do, he ghosted you.
What do? You got the dress. You think you're going to prom. You're not going to show up if it's his prom. This has so many layers to it.
You're asking all your girlfriends, is there somebody else who can invite me? Hey, does Bob need a prom date? I'll go with him. Go with anyone. But you show up at that prom like, bam.
So
you didn't want me, but somebody else did.
Tina's mom, though, is asking if she should get involved.
I wonder if she means, like, should I call the parents?
I don't think she should get involved.
No, Tina, do not get involved.
High school can be a really hard time. Kids are mean, but you're only going to make it worse if you get involved and sort of start calling his parents, because maybe his parents don't even know. A lot of the times parents could be out of touch with who's going with who. I remember I had a boyfriend in high school, and still my parents were like, wait, who's prom? I'm like, guys, come on. So I feel like they can be out of touch sometimes when it comes to like who's dating who.
Right.
And it changes so quickly. You can be dating somebody one day, you're not dating them the next day.
And I just think that makes you and your daughter look desperate and eager.
Yeah.
When right now you're just trying to play it cool. I don't care. I know she's crushed and I get it. This stinks. And you just got to be there for her and just say, you know what? He's a dog.
Now, what if he got his phone taken and he's in trouble? Or what if it's finals, it's the final season, like you have all your big tests coming up. He's focusing on that and he doesn't have access to his phone.
Doesn't matter. You go above and beyond.
I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
If he had the opportunity to ask you, he has the opportunity to keep and connect. And I really, at this point, I think she needs to move on. And if he comes back and he's like, well, what happened? Well, you don't keep me on
red. The kids call it. Keep me on red.
Okay, I love it. On
That's
red.
Like when you get a text message and you read it and you don't reply.
I had to move on. I had to find another date if they're at the same school. I had to find another date. You just weren't texting me back or getting in contact with me. You ghosted me. That's rude. I'm moving on.
And you go still and you have the time of your life, and then he'll realize
I would go by myself too. If you can't find someone.
You're not going to miss your prom.
I don't know. Sometimes people get so upset that they're like, I'm going to miss. Do not miss your prom. You go and have fun. Time of your life.
But don't get involved, Tina.
No,
don't
Tina.
get involved. All right, coming up, we have one of our own issues to share to help you feel better about the issues that you submit.
Is it as bad? All right, so Jenna and I were then just getting into our feels about
reminiscing about parents getting involved.
And one time I was saying there was a instance where my mom did get involved because a girl was basically bullying over the phone, and my mom got on the other end and told the girl that she was a little witch. I thought
I have hives.
All I heard was itch, and I thought my mom called her the B word. And I was like, oh, my mom.
That's what she meant. Your mom meant that, but she knew she couldn't call a young kid that.
And I remember being so embarrassed when I should have just been happy that my mom was putting this girl in her place.
Well, did they stop or did it get worse?
Well, again, they thought my mom. When I got back to school, they all called my mom. My mom was crazy. Yeah. And I remember being like, wait, my mom's crazy for putting you in your place? Like that's. But in the end, I look back on it, I'm like, thanks, Mom. You really did stick up for me. But at the time, I was like, oh, my God, Mom.
And now both being moms, we were saying it would be really hard not to intervene if people are being mean to our kids.
How do you not?
It's a life. It's a life lesson.
Life lessons. I learned my lesson.
That is not
Family
our issue.
Are better than friends.
Blood's thicker.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, let's get to my issue.
Meisner needs an advisor.
Okay, so springtime, a lot of folks are out there getting their yards spick and span. Spick and span?
Yeah,
Span?
do it.
Span.
Whatever. Clean. Green and clean. Getting their yards green and clean.
Spring cleaning. Mm-hmm. You just got mulch the other day.
I did. And then weeding. They did the weeding, the mulch, pruning. Oh, my God.
So a lot of neighborhoods are HOAs. Some of them are lax. Like your HOA, I feel like is really lax.
And they can't tell us anything about our lawn.
Okay.
But
nice.
Yeah, I pay like an HOA so that plow.
It's mainly like your entryway is nice. I feel like that's pretty much a normal laid back HOA.
Yours is
so
crazy.
My HOA is like a bit more strict. I understand because they're in charge of all the lawn care, all the tree service. So like we aren't responsible for finding people to do the lawn or anything like that.
Right.
They take care of all of that, which is really nice. But that also comes with its negatives that every couple of months your house gets checked. You get checkups. So I was home the other day and my Ring camera picked up motion. So I went to see what was going on and I see the HOA board with their clipboards and they're pointing at things in our mulch beds and I hear them saying like, oh, like I don't like how that looks. That doesn't look great. And they mulch fairly early, so I don't feel like they really give us the opportunity to get out there and sort of clean up from the winter. Like it's like winter's done and the new mulch is in. So I will say, yes, we've got a few things that needed to be picked up a bit. So they're not responsible for what's in the mulch beds. They're responsible for, they will mulch, but what's in the beds, like the type of plants you have and the type of bushes and things like that, they're not responsible for.
Well, then they should not have any say in how it looks.
Every house looks different because some people really do a lot of planting. And when we bought the house, it was January. Yeah. So the first spring and summer, the woman who previously owned the house must have loved to garden because everything started blooming. Nice. And me and Tate were like, we are not experienced in this. We don't even know where to begin in this type of care. So I actually had someone come and pretty much cut a lot of it down and away. So it grew back with a vengeance because that's what happens when you cut things back. Right. Which I'm learning. Right.
It's like good gardener.
For them. They came back. So I hear them on the Ring, unhappy with the way a few things have grown. And I mean, it does not look bad. If to the normal person, it looks very nice and well kept.
But when you're going around with a clipboard,
so we're waiting to get our letter in the mail because you then get a letter in the mail with all the things that they would like you to fix. Now I walk the baby around the neighborhood and I notice this time of year, everyone is out like planting and watering and I just can't get into it. No. I just can't get into it. And I don't know if it's like a generational thing.
It is.
Because everyone that I notice tends to be a bit older.
I really don't think there are many people in our generation that are like, oh, I just love taking care of my garden beds.
Or have the time. have the time. Working, you're a mom. Like a lot of these people, they must be retired because they are out there like.
It is so
working
strenuous.
On it real hard.
It is so tedious and it's messy. So now you do all of this work just to get your hands, your face, your feet, your shoes, your clothes are a mess. And I just feel like it is definitely a lost art and they can't understand why.
I gotta find these lyrics.
Young millennials don't care if their garden beds aren't perfectly pruned.
No, I don't.
It's not worth it to me. It's not worth the time.
We're on the younger end in the neighborhood, so they're probably like, oh, those kids don't take care of their mulch beds.
And I also am like, a lot of these people had houses and they made random mulch beds in the middle of nowhere. And now I got to take care of this mulch bed. I'm like, why did you put a mulch bed in the middle or every tree has to have its own mulch bed? Don't
like
do
islands.
that.
They're little islands.
Yes, don't do that. It looks cute, but guess what? I'm not taking care of it.
So
you should have just left it as grass around a tree. Too many mulch beds, too much to take care of.
Obviously, Taylor Swift's album just came out, her song Fortnite on the radio. I was really resonating with it because she says, now you're in my backyard, turned into good neighbors. Your wife waters flowers. I want to kill her. So every time I see someone watering their flowers, I'm like, you are making me look bad.
Yeah. But it's going away with
nobody
the wind.
in my neighborhood
Are you
watches
kidding
this
me?
show.
You think the second Gen Z gets
we
houses?
need to move on. They're telling us we need to move on. Here we go. Perfect. What is the average age of a Delconian? That's our trivia. So maybe this will be the reason why everyone's into their plants. Just talking about taking care of your lawn and having pride and how we think it might be an age thing. So what is the average age of a Delconian?
And the
Delco resident.
Delconian, I love it. The answer is 39 and a half years old.
And why are we talking about this?
It is Older Americans Month.
So that's a really nice way of saying senior citizen, I assume.
Well, not 39 and a half, but older American.
I mean May, Older American Month.
Yes.
But yeah, so average age from the census, about 39 and a half in Delco.
I think I guessed 37.
Yeah, you were pretty spot on.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised by that. I feel like that makes sense.
Average age kind of probably for much of the United States. So.
And we just had that story on the morning news that the age that people start to feel quote unquote uncool and out of touch with pop culture is around the age of 39.
39.
That's young to
just
me.
Call it even 40 years old.
40.
People are starting to feel uncool.
That's young to me. And maybe because I'm getting older, I feel like maybe when I was younger, that felt really old.
Like 40.
Yeah.
Lordy, look who's 40.
But now that I'm closer, I'm like, that's not old.
No, it's all about your state of mind, your mindset. I don't feel uncool. I feel cooler than ever.
Well, that's good to know.
Not taking care of my garden beds. That's for...
The way to tell if you're cool is if you let your hedges go crazy. Or if you have weeds everywhere, you must be very cool.
I'm just letting it go like, nah, I look really cool.
Everybody thinks my house is trash.
Yes.
I promise it does not look bad. I'll have to take pictures of what is so terrible.
Wild.
Yeah, so I'll keep you posted with whether the HOA is coming for me.
Or you get fined. Like, do you get fined?
No, they just tell you to do it. And then if they have to tell you like a lot of times, then you can get a fine. But it's like $25. It's not.
All right.
Okay.
Well, thanks everybody for writing in. Delco Duo at phl17.com. That's how you get in contact with us.
All right. We'll see you next weekend.
Bye.